Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So the point of today's video is to try to get this thing down to the bare bones frame with absolutely nothing left on it. So in order to get to that point, we need to get it up on some 6x6 wood cribbing. That'll get the wheels off the ground. We can remove the tires and rims. At that point we can open up the two chain case access covers, disconnect the drive chains, remove the chains, and pull all four hubs. I'll have to do some cleanup as far as getting oil out and everything. And then after that, it's just removing the two drive motors. That's pretty much it. I got some lights back here to take off, but we'll be back down to a bare frame and we can start getting everything cleaned up. At that point, it'll have quite a bit of weight removed from it. So I'll probably tip the whole machine back to get a real good view of the undercarriage. I believe there's supposed to be a skid plate on the bottom to prevent, damaging the hoses and motors, but this one does not have one. So I just need to kind of take a look at it and see, get some measurements and kind of figure out holes and fasteners, because eventually I'd like to get that skid plate back on the bottom when this project is finished. So, all right, let's tear into it. So as most of you probably remember from the crawler videos, when it comes time to lift equipment off the ground, I'm not a big fan of jack stands. Cribbing, in my opinion, is the best way to go. You can cut and adjust for whatever sizes you need. It's pretty sturdy and easy to work with. So as you can see on this side here, I have a longer 6x6 that I basically just slide underneath the main frame on each side. There's one over here. I use my jack on the front to lift the front up. I'll put another block in on each side in the front. We'll go around to the back, lift the back, and put two more blocks in. That should get everything off the ground and give it a good solid structure for us to work on. We can adjust these a little later once I get the back ones in. This will just kind of be to hold the front. Now the machine is fully off the ground and stable to work on. Tire number one. This little battery impact makes a world of difference, makes this so much easier. Just a Bauer one from Harbor Freight, but man, it works great. Alright, let's go ahead and take this chain case cover off. Alright, that's all the hardware. I wasn't able to get the drain plugs out of the bottom. Eventually I'll work on getting those out later. But I know the level is lower than this cover, or it should be, because of how much it drained out the other day. Alright, here's our first look at the inside of the chain case. Alright, so this sprocket here is the idler. You can see there's a lot of slop in there. And if you look down there at the bottom, that's going to be our bottom drive. That's going to be the gear for the drive motor. So basically the drive motor sprocket is adjusted with this tensioner sprocket, and it goes to this larger sprocket. This larger sprocket has the other two sprockets on it. One to go back for the rear chain, which is super loose, and the front chain, which is super loose. So I'm going to pan out back here for a minute. Let's see if I can zoom out. So here's a good view of the inner workings of this all moving together. So again, the drive motor is at the bottom. This is the tensioner sprocket and a large drive bull sprocket. And then your front and rear chains. So as I move the rear hub, you'll see how everything kind of rolls and spins together. And of course I'm moving my master links away from where I want them to be, but we can get them right back here. Look at that, easy access. One here and one here. Once we take those chains out, I'll roll this other main drive chain around. See if we can find where that master link is. There it is right here. So we'll take that one off. And then at that point we can start removing the front and rear hubs and getting these sprocket drive assemblies out. So I'm assuming it's going to be these nuts here. There's probably some on the inside. And then when we go to put it back together, this tensioner adjustment here has some nuts on the inside as well too, and it slides at an angle here to make this chain tighter or looser. So lots of play and slop in a lot of this stuff, so it's a good thing we came in here and at a minimum we'll probably at least tension everything. I'm not sure if we need to replace these chains or not. They actually look like they're in really good shape. The sprockets don't even look too worn, so we'll see. Let me go pop the other side off and see how that side looks. So some of the things we want to be mindful of are this gasket. So it looks like it's a 4-piece gasket. There's a little dovetail here, same thing here and on the top. I don't know if this gasket's available anymore, but we want to try to at least save what we can to make a template. We can get some normal paper gasket, not a problem there. Same thing with these hubs. When we remove these hubs, there's a gasket that goes between the outside part of the hub and the chain case itself. And then eventually we'll get these things apart and check out these seals and the bearings. Let's see if we got any play in here. There's a little bit. Nothing extraordinary. This rear one, oh, there's nothing on that one. That one's real tight. So we might need to look into that front one a little bit. But yep, start tearing this apart. Now I think I am going to have to get in here and get these drain plugs out, because I'm not sure if you can see down in there, but there is still a considerable amount of oil left in there. And as you can see, these hubs go down to the bottom. I'm sure the hole's probably only in here where it goes through, but either way, I am trying not to make any more of a mess than I have to. Just a quick view here, you can see the 6x6 cribbing I used. Allows you to obviously support the weight of the whole thing and give you plenty of room to work on getting everything apart that you need to. Much safer than jack stands, that's for sure. Alright, we're going to try something here. So this is just it's a 3/8 drive extension. I'm going to use the female end of that to slide over this plug. I may need to replace this plug later, but I'll just tap that on. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can get something else in here to push on that. Alright, I got that on there. Then I've got a 12.7/16 that slides on there. And hopefully I can use my 1/2-inch drive ratchet or impact on here. Oh yeah, buddy. Look at that. Where there's a will, there's a way. Hopefully I can get this off so I can use the plug here with this drain pan. Oh yeah. Just get that plug out of there and we're back in business. So once this chain case is done draining, I know I said I was going to go over on the other side and start taking that apart, but I think we're going to focus on this side just to do one side completely, kind of learn from our own mistakes and figure out how this all works. And then the next side will go really quick because we'll already know what's going on. Try to get that clip off without dropping it in there. That one looks like it'll come apart. The other one's just being stubborn, I guess. Alright, there's the end piece of that. And what we'll do is I'm going to drop this end here take that master link out and we'll just pull it out. There we go. Here's our front drive chain. Let's see, I'm going to roll it back again. And we'll do the same thing. Pull the master link out. Just drop this one down. And pull it out. There's the rear chain. So now both of my hubs are going to spin free. The only thing this is connected to now is the drive pump, the drive motor inside. So we'll try to find the master link on this one. You can hear it pumping oil out the back as I spin it. All right, here's the master link here. Well, I got it out. I ended up using this extension with the hammer to kind of hit on the ends of the master link. The only problem is the end piece of the chain that's similar to this one ended up falling inside, so not a big deal, we'll get it. Alright, master link out, and however you want to do this to unravel it and unroll it and just get it out of there. There we go. Now all three chain pieces are out. Reach in here and see if I can find that piece. Oh, it's nice and slimy in there. I think I might have it. Nope, that's not it. Well, we'll find. Oh, there it is. There we go. Nice. As you can see, there's still some oil in there. It's kind of some high and low spots, so definitely interesting setup. All right. Now that that's out, we can work on getting probably this main sprocket out of the middle, the idler gear right here, and the drive pump motor. So yeah, from the inside here, there's 2 nuts in the front of this frame. There's 2 more in the back. Kind of hard to get the impact in there, so I'm just going to have to take them out the old-fashioned way. And then save the other 2 bolts on the inside for when we get over there we can actually see what's going on. So let me get these off real quick. So I was able to get the top 2 bolts out fine by rotating the gear. The bottom 2 were not quite aligned right and wouldn't fit through. So I had to loosen these outside ones in order to get this to drop down enough. You can see it adjusts up and down for chain tension in order to get those bottom 2 out. So I've got this outside one out now. And then this one here, they're all carriage bolts, so just got to kind of push them from the outside in and watch your fingers, obviously. But it should be it. We should be able to, once I get this bolt out, get this whole assembly off. And again, there's rubber on these holes too for these washers, so you want to make sure you don't lose those. Alright, I think that's it. This whole thing should slide out. Let's see if I can rotate that up. Oh, nice. There we go. So there's that whole gear assembly. Just got to remember to put it in upside down and then rotate it in order to get it out of there. So, alright, that's a big component out. Next up, we'll work on getting that chain adjustment idler out, and then we'll work on the drive motor. So here's the chain tensioner. I loosened up the 3 bolts that are on there, and as you can see, it allows for this sprocket to tension up and down. So finish getting those out and pull that one out. I'm glad I decided to just go ahead and, sorry, it's been like freezing cold and it's hot today, so sweating. But yeah, I was debating about taking all this stuff apart because I think in the last video I even said I'm an advocate of if it's not broke, don't fix it. However, I do have to adjust these chains, whether I use these same old ones or put new ones in. And in order for me to adjust them, I have to loosen these bolts anyway to ensure that these assemblies are going to slide. So I would rather slide them and have them adjusted properly. And I can take one nut off at a time and ensure that it's properly sealed with some, RTV or whatever, and seal it back up again. But yeah, I'd rather do this now than find out later that they start leaking and I wish I had done it. Now I got to take this whole thing apart again. So again, as always, if you're going to do it right. So we're stripping it down to the frame like we said. Alright. This should just slide out. That's it. Seems to be a lot of play there, but I think that's intentional. But it doesn't have any axial play with the bearing. That seems pretty good. So I think we're good there. We'll just clean everything up. But as you can see, these little holes have all the washers in the back and all this rubber shoved in there. So I think they're probably special washers that have that rubber, and hopefully I can still get those. If not, I'm going to have to come up with another method. But yeah, as you can see, it's a washer that had a rubber segment inside. So hopefully I can find something like that. All right, looks like we got 2 bolts in here for the drive motor, and that bottom back one doesn't look like it's going to be fun. I think we might wait on that until we get this rear hub assembly off, because that's not an easy thing to get to. This bolt here is not bad, but the one that's 180 up from it's tucked way in. So I think once this hub is out, we'll be able to access it from the back. So as you can see, it's starting to get kind of dark here today. So for me, I'm going to stop it here. For you, we're going to roll right into the next video of getting these hubs out. Alright, I'm going to keep going for a bit today. I'm going to loosen these outside bolts here, or nuts. And then there's a cover on the inside with 4 nuts that we'll use to grab access to take apart the inside of the hub. Here you can see the inside cover I was telling you about, one on each side. Once that cover comes off, there's a nut in there with a cotter pin that holds it in place. When we remove that nut, it'll allow us to slide the hub shaft out, leaving the sprocket inside the case, and then we can pull that out afterwards. Not too bad at all. Again, we're going to want to save what we can of this gasket so we can use it as a template for the next one, or you can just cut it off with this plate. So looking inside that hole, you can see that there's a cotter pin here. We'll have to take that cotter pin off and then remove this nut. That will allow us to remove this whole hub assembly out. It'll leave the sprocket inside the casing, and then we'll pull it out from the side case cover again. Again, rotate the hub while I hang on to this nut. Rotate the hub from the outside to unthread it. Now, one thing I do want to be careful of, and I don't know, is if there's any spacers or anything in here. So I do want to watch for that. So we'll finish getting the nut off here. It's almost off. There we go. So there's the castle nut that had the cotter pin in it. And it looks like there is in fact a spacer here. So we want to make sure we keep that and put that underneath the nut. And there we go. That'll work. A little pry bar action behind it. We do it evenly. There we go. Alright. Let me see if I can get this gasket off here so I don't completely tear it in half. Oh, it doesn't matter, it just ripped anyway. Alright, just pull it off. There we go. This gasket's a mess. Alright, so here we're going to pull this out, and you hear this, the sprocket drop. There we go. Here's the hub assembly. I'll reach in here, Grab that sprocket out of there. There it is. There was no spacer. Oh, there is a spacer right here. For that side, I'll put the sprocket back on. Just like that. Make sure you can see what's going on here. There we go. I'm going to put my spacer back in with my nut, just so we don't lose anything or forget the order. Once we get that back one off, I'll be able to reach in and get that other bolt for the drive motor. And I think I am in fact going to stop here and continue this tomorrow. Yeah, I know. I'm a glutton for punishment. I keep saying I'm going to stop and continue tomorrow, but I just want to get this one side done. Got this one hub here to take off in the back. I already got the cover off from the inside. That one's been apart before because it's got a big cork gasket in there. So I figured this one here I can't get with my impact because there's like a brake backer. I think it's for a parking brake, which I don't have, so this is going to come off and stay off. Anyway, I'll just finish this up. Ain't going to take much longer. Alright, so there's the 6 fasteners from there. I've just got to go in and get the cotter pin off the nut and whack around and get this thing pulled out. We get the 2 bolts for the drive motor, and then that's it, I promise. I got the nut and the spacer off from the inside over there, so now it's just a matter of making some more noise for you headphone users. Try to get this hub loosened up. That one came apart pretty easy. There we go. There we go. Back hub's out. Make sure I got the spacer on there. Grab that rear sprocket. Slide it out. Right back on the shaft again. Spacer. Nut. And we'll deal with these later. We're going to go through and check the bearings and stuff, make sure bearings and seals are good, because again, now that we have it apart, now's the time to do everything. So I believe that drive motor is just held on with these 2 bolts, and now that I can reach in there, we should be able to get those loosened up and get that drive motor pulled. It's a bolt that goes all the way through, so you gotta hang on to one side while I turn the other. There we go. If you've never worked on a skid steer before, I don't recommend it. But I do, because they're amazing. They're just not fun to work on like this. Ever rebuilt a transmission through an exhaust pipe? That's about what it feels like. Alright, I'm going to leave that bolt there to help hold things for me. And this whole side will be apart. We're having some technical difficulty. As you can see, everything's smoking and steaming. I'm hot and it's cold and weird weather. Should come out. Oh yeah. Alright. I'm actually gonna, I don't think it'll fit through here, but maybe. Nope. I'm gonna drop it up the bottom. Drive motor number 1. There's a gasket on here that holds it against the casing, so we'll have to replace those. Again, they probably don't make these, but that's easy enough to cut out of some Garlock gasket material. So, alright. Shoo! That's it. I promise, that is actually it for today's video. And it's hot. So we've completely dissected the left-hand chain case assembly. Got the front hub, the front drive chain, the middle drive and driven assembly, whatever, the tensioner, the other chain, the rear hub, and the left-hand drive motor. So we are in fact an empty carcass on the left hand side. So I'm not going to video it, but tomorrow I'll come out and remove the same thing, get this cover off, disconnect the chains, pull the hubs, and get this right hand drive motor off. This one's probably going to be a little easier, but that's it. I'm going to say, for the sake of this video, it's down to the bare frame, because once I do the same thing on the other side, that's all we have. So like I said, and then it's pretty much just about degreasing and cleaning and removing all the paint. I probably have steam coming off my head. It's because we just work so proficiently around here. Alright, that's it for today's video. Hopefully you learned something. You learned from my mistakes, although I don't think we made too many. But yeah, I'm going to go back through, bag and tag this. We'll get the other side apart tomorrow. And the next time you see this, I'll be cleaning it, or it might already be clean and primer. So anyway, appreciate you watching. Have a good one.